Here's how you're going to make a simple yet modern bench for your dining room or inside your house. I chose this modern design with these metal bases. I'll have a link below in the description box for those. And I went with cypress lumber for the top. It's got natural rot resistant properties and it has a really cool rustic look. After choosing the lumber, I first went over to the miter station. I want to cut several of these planks down to approximate dimensions as I'm getting ready for the milling process. Once I completed all the rough cuts for 2 bench tops, I then laid them out on my table and I wanted to make a few reference marks on where I was going to place my hand pressure for the joiner. Squaring these things up are going to be very critical. Here's a pro tip. Well, did I just call myself a pro? I'm not a pro. I do have some great machinery and tools, but calling myself a pro, I wouldn't say that's quite right yet. At least not this stage in the game. But in case you didn't know, if you don't have this machinery, you can order wood pre-surfaced or pre-milled from a sawmill, and it doesn't cost a whole lot. For example, if I wanted to order these cypress boards from a sawmill and had it pre-surfaced, which means squared up, it would only cost me about 10 cents a linear foot. So it's worth the time and especially worth the effort if you don't have the extra tools. Another DIY tip for beginners, make sure you alternate the grain. You can see they're up and down here. This will offset seasonal wood movement, and when I first started this business 7 years ago, for whatever reason, I refused to believe that that mattered. And I almost went out of business with all the warpage that I was receiving from my tables. I had to build several tables for the second time, which meant no profits. It almost crushed me in my business. Don't skip this step, it's super vital. I get asked quite frequently, what tools would I recommend when starting your woodworking journey? And I always say, get clamps. They're absolutely vital. I didn't begin my journey with clamps because I started this business bankrupt, food deprived, and almost homeless. So I didn't quite have the money to purchase clamps. In my case, when I started, I used to pocket hole all the boards together and join them with screws. And that works too. So if you don't have any clamps, that's fine. You just got to make sure you alternate those end grains. The metal bases came raw. I kinda like this because I can put my own finish on it. It won't be powder coated, of course, because that's premium, but I did get a can of spray paint and I'll have it linked in the description box below. It came out really nice. You can see here how dull and flat it is, as the client didn't want any type of sheen to it, and sometimes a powder coat can relieve a really slick look even when it's a matte version. After my tops were glued up over 4 hours, I ran them through the planer just to clean up the rough glue. That just saved me a ton of time in sanding and it makes the process a little easier. Now I'm gonna align the metal bases on the bench tops so I can make my reference marks with where I wanna place them. We're gonna have to route a little space where they're gonna go, and this will offset any type of movement like racking or shifting back and forth, as you want these to be completely strong. I'm gonna go 1/4 inch deep on the routed inset for these bases. Now you could get away with 3/16, but I wouldn't go anything less than that. I find that 1/4 inch is the sweet spot, and that's what I would go with. I love watching these videos as I do a voiceover because it's really fun getting to see myself make it. But something I want to disclose with you is this routing process actually wasn't as simple as the video appears. Although it's pretty straightforward, it gave me a crushing migraine just due to how I had to hold my neck and the router at the same time. It was really difficult. The process is easy, but come on. Everything you do in woodworking is going to take a little muscle and a little effort, and it would never be as simple as the video makes it look, right? The bummer about going with cypress wood is it's generally pretty old, and it usually comes with a lot of cracks and knots that you have to stabilize. I love using this CA glue. I'll have a link down below for it. And in case you're wondering why I'm using white, it's because I had already previously made this client a dining table and they had white epoxy resin in all the cracks. So this is just helping it match. They didn't ask for it, but I thought it would be really cool, and turns out they were super excited when they saw what I did. Time for a little finish work. I love this stage of every build because it means it's rearing the end of the project and it's really satisfying to spray. I've got this Wagner sprayer and I love it. It's really good. It's a DIY sprayer. It's a great one for beginners. Since this video though, I did step up my game and got a Fuji Q5 and it is amazing. But this Wagner gets the job done and I still use it today. I just kind of use it for outdoor projects. Instead of watching the finish dry, let's take a nap. Now you're still going to get seasonal wood movement, contraction and expansion every season. Now with the holes on the base, I drilled them out to be a little larger than 1/4 inch, and the screw shank itself is a little less than 1/8 of an inch, which means I have greater than 1/8 of an inch all around the diameter of the screw shank for movement. Now you could drill extra holes so that way they would be slotted in the metal base. That's actually ideal, but I have found that when it comes to benches and a top that's no greater than 18 inches deep, this is more than sufficient. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'm looking forward to the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and turn that bell on. I'll see you later. Peace.